All right, the next step for us is to start learning how to play what we call bar chords. Now, once you've established a certain amount of open chords, okay, again, chords that are using strings that we're not pressing on, the really cool thing about the guitar is we get to leave these first 3 frets and actually start exploring the fretboard horizontally this way. And basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a bunch of the stuff that we learned in the open position, and we're going to learn how to move those up and down the guitar. Okay? Now, bear with me for a second. If you think about it, if I was to make an E chord, okay? I was making this E chord, and I wanted to move that E chord up 1 fret. Okay? Now, logic tells us from learning the notes, the chromatic scale, and learning the notes on our 6th string, right? All that sort of thing. We know that when we pluck the 6th string, we hear E. If we go to the 1st fret, we hear F. If we go to the 2nd fret, we hear F sharp, and G sharp, and so on. Okay? So, if we take this E chord and we move it up 1 fret, logic tells us that we're getting an F chord because we're taking the E chord and moving it up 1 fret. But there is a problem. The 3 strings that we're pressing on are, in fact, becoming an F chord, okay? But we have 3 strings that we're not pressing on, so if we play them all at the same time, we wind up with kind of a crazy sound. So what we want to do is take the nut and move that up with us. We want to move all the strings up, but we can't do that. So what we do is we use our first finger to press on all the strings to act like the nut, and then we make the E chord with our 3 fingers. And now we have increased the pitch up 1, what we refer to as a half step, but 1 half step. So E is becoming F, which then becomes F sharp, and G sharp, and A sharp, or B flat, whatever you want to call it, B, C, and so on, okay? So this is how the guitar really works. We learn how to play these open chords, which are really prepping us for learning how to move those open chords up and down the guitar. Okay, and the 6th string, which is E, and the shape that accompanies it, which is E major, right there, this is the single most common shape that we use to move up and down the guitar. Because again, if you remember, in music, you only have 12 notes. That's all there is, or 12 notes. You don't have 15 or 32 or something like that. There's only 12 notes that get repeated over and over and over. So if you think about chords, for instance, there can only be an A major chord, and an A sharp or B flat major chord, and a C major chord, and a C sharp major chord, and a D major chord, and so on. We can have a major chord for each one of those, but we can only have 12 major chords. We can have 12 minor chords, or 12 of these chords, or 12 of these chords, or 12 of these chords, or all kinds of different things. But again, let's not get math crazy and then go, okay, so for the next 8 years, all I'm going to do is practice chords. No, let's just focus on something that is useful to you. Because if you learned how to play A down here, that's great, you own A. If you learned how to play D down here, that's great, you have D. But you don't have F sharp. You don't have B flat. You don't have C sharp. Those don't really exist down in the open position. And even if you could kind of figure them out, there's a far easier system, and that system is learning how to play bar chords. Because all you're doing is taking this E chord, which is becoming F, and F sharp, and G sharp, and A sharp, and B, and C sharp, and D sharp, and then the octave E again. So with one chord shape, the E, you can create all 12 major chords. That's how the guitar works.